Hi everybody and welcome to another author interview at In-House Publishing, and as you can see I'm not at In-House Publishing, I'm in WA, I'm in Fremantle, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I get to have a chat to the lovely Jenny Hunter about her new book which is called White People Are Nomads. Jenny, how about you tell me a little bit about this book? What's it about?
This book is about the shared history of Australia, which is something that belongs to all of us in Australia who have lived here, who are living here. It's also a book for people who are interested in Australia. And it's about the ancient Australia, the Aboriginal people who used to live here before it was colonised. And it helps us to realise, if we look back at our past, where we are today.
Okay, so, you sound very educated and knowledgeable of what you're talking about. What do you do?
So I lecture at uni and I teach that actual subject that I've just outlined, the shared history of Australia from an Indigenous perspective. So the book is really a mirror of that. But there are 3 parts to the book, so that's just one of the parts.
Okay, tell me about the other parts.
So the second part is has been written by another person named Ted Carlton, who is a traditional owner or custodian in the Kimberly, Mirrawong. And I worked with Ted a long time ago, and I encouraged the people that I worked with in the north to write their stories, and Ted was one of the people who did. So Ted and I still have to get around to publishing his whole book.
Wow. Good.
However, this is a part of Ted's book that he has very generously allowed to have inclusion in this book, because it actually supports the shared history, the first part of the history of the book.
And the third part?
So the third part of the book is it's about a generic story of a woman, and it mirrors, because I feel that the woman has been in some ways disadvantaged or put in the same marginalised group for the entire history of Australia since colonisation. So it's a story for all women.
You mentioned to me earlier that this book is fact and fiction, and you're up against a few challenges from how the public or the media may perceive it. Can you explain what you mean with that?
The first part of the book is based on fact, as it's been recorded in history. So there's lots of dates, and there's lots of, it follows a timeline of events, and that is not obviously fiction, that's based on fact. The second part of the book is Ted's story. It also is Ted's mother's story and Ted's brother's story. So it's interesting in the fact that there's 3 generations, or there's 3 different family members. So Ted's mother was an amazing law woman. She spoke 9 languages. She grew up in the bush. She gave birth to Ted in the bush, but Ted went on to university, and his brother stayed a senior lawman in Kununmurra. I'd like to thank both of those people too. The third part of the book, one might think it's a generic woman's story, but I mean, I'm a woman, so therefore I have some authority over what I wrote just based on that. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix, and hopefully there's something for every person to get something out of that book, or there's something that resonates for someone, the reader, so it helps to connect to the story. The other part, it's a bit of a layered book. The other part, the book is basically a metaphor. So it's a painting metaphor. So it's about stripping back the layers and looking at what's been covered over and why. So there's the language of painting and art is through every chapter.
Okay, what's inspired you to actually make this publication happen?
I guess a lot of it is because people always are very interested in this subject, and there's not a lot of material out there in terms of sort of really laying it out for people. I know the students really love the course that I teach, and they find it to be transforming, and I find that to be a very positive thing for Australia. If students can be transformed in a 12-week course just learning about the history, then how many more people can be transformed? So that's really my inspiration.
What do you want to see the book achieve? What do you want people to take out of it? Where do you want to send the direction of this message?
I want people to read the book and just go, aha, I get it.
Okay, I get it. And what are they getting? They're getting the shared history of Australia. They're getting what, the relationship between the Indigenous people and the white Europeans that have come, or
I think there's a lot of confusion in Australia, and there's a lot of misinformation about Aboriginal people. The media have portrayed Aboriginal people in a negative way for years and years. History has taught us that it was written by the victors, so our history has been written by the colonisers. We have heard very little from Aboriginal people until recently. And so what I hope the book achieves is an absolute paying absolute respect to Aboriginal people for being so resilient and for what they've done for the country and what they can do for us, and their contribution is just enormous in a positive way.
What about the negatives? There is a lot of negatives around the Indigenous Aboriginal people, and a lot of people would say, well, they don't want to help themselves, they don't want to improve their culture. Is there truth to that?
If you read the book, you will not be asking a question like that. That's what I mean by getting it.
Okay.
Those questions will become, the answers are in the shared history of Australia.
So this really is identifying how the majority of the population, the lack of knowledge is actually quite great, isn't it?
With all due respect, yes.
That's all good, that's all good. Hey listen, this is why we publish our stories and publish our work, because we want to educate, inform, share our stories. And in your case, you're helping share a culture, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah?
Yep, I think I'm very privileged to have had so much experience and knowledge given to me by Aboriginal people, that I also feel that, with that comes, I need to do something with that for the greater good. As a thank you and to share that, yeah.
All right, now more about you. What's happening for you over the next year, 2, 3, 5 years? Where's Jenny going?
I continue to work with Aboriginal people, sharing. I work in a third space, I guess. So I share their voice and their knowledge and their wisdom as they wish to share it. Particularly their traditional ecological knowledge, which is there's a critical need to do this and capture stories, because the old people are dying, the elders are the ones who have the stories. And my deepest passion, I suppose, is collecting stories. So that's what I hope to be doing, continuing to collect stories. Everybody is a story, and everybody has a story, and everybody's story is unique. And so it's not that Aboriginal people have more of an interesting or a better or a worse story, it's just that's where life took me. But I've also worked with homeless people, and I've worked in all sorts of other fields, and I feel that their stories are equally as fascinating. I think the more insight we have into humanity, the better placed we are to be able to look after each other, which we need to do again.
That resonates with me greatly, and as many people know, I believe that our legacy is defined by the positive impact we leave on as many people as possible. So it sounds like that's your vocation.
Sounds like it.
Awesome, that's awesome. Okay, so for you guys, you want to check out this book. So this is the website below, go and check it out, find out more about Jenny, get yourself a copy of this book, and become aware of the shared history of Australia and what Jenny's message is all about. Thanks for doing this today.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
good.
you.
Cheers, guys.